It's crazy because even though we have so many students going in this competition right now, there's, just multitude of them, there's different classes and all that shit, it feels as though, to a certain degree at the very least, the ones that really are rocking it and matter the most, or at the very least in regards to the narrative and the way it's being expressed in this episode, is Bakugo, Todoroki, and Deku, essentially the big three of My Hero Academia, because in this episode, it's showing their strengths, but also their shortcomings, and then at the same time is also showing their inexperience and why this is My Hero Academia, opposed to it just being like, straight up heroes, because in this episode, we're seeing them kind of messing up in a way, and because of their shortcomings, they're not being able to reach their full potential, so to speak. Because, for starters, let's talk about Bakugo. Bakugo, I don't know what the fuck he thought he was doing in this episode, because it was like he could have, in my opinion, ranked way higher, in a sense of like he could have been number 1. I know he came in number 2, and of course he didn't like that, but he could have came in number 1. It's just, it shows one of his weaknesses right now, or not necessarily weakness, but one of the things that stops him from being great. And that's not, I don't know if you would say his pride, or just him as a character right now. Whenever he gets pissed off, bottom line, like if you want to put it very simplistic, Bakugo plus pissed off equals no good, because he had his eyes on the prize at first. He was like, I'm going after Deku, I'm getting that 10 mil, we're gonna win this one, bam. The second he got pissed off because they robbed his bandana, that's when all hell broke loose. That's when he was just like, screw it all. And that shows Bakugo's character and one of his flaws and what's stopping him from essentially potentially being number 1. He could have been number 1. You never know if he wouldn't have gotten pissed off. So I think that's showing one of the shortcomings. And I think this episode was also, nothing extravagant regarding the lesson, but the lesson nevertheless was teamwork prevails overall, because if it wasn't for the other people, aside from the big three, so to speak, things would have been differently. Because when Ida, which we talked about Ida last week, and we talked about Ida wanting to step it up. He was like, yo, I'm not playing. It was either last week or even the week before that. Anyway, when all of this started, Ida was like, nah, team member Deku, yo, I'm coming for your neck right now. And then in this episode, we actually got a demonstration of what he was referring to, and he came through and came clutch. And if it wasn't for him, they probably wouldn't have ranked number 1 Todoroki in them. So even though Todoroki was beasting, it was also because of the teamwork, the other people. Likewise with Tokoyami, when Tokoyami got that bandana at the end, that's what helped them to, at the very least, edge in 4th place. Because, again, the other team members. And I think if they would have been more cohesive and worked together, things would have been a lot more smooth. But that's the problem, again, is that they're coming up and they're trying to understand things. As students, they're trying to progress, but then they're also students. And you're seeing in these episodes why they aren't, top tier leaders, so to speak. Todoroki, for example, one of the things he's holding back, it's kind of like you're seeing in so many different regards what's messing them up. Because with Todoroki, one, he's holding back. If Todoroki would go full force and use his other side, I don't think that these competitions would even last that long, because Todoroki, just using one of his sides is already dangerous. Bakugo looks at him as a major threat, likewise with Deku and pretty much everybody else. So if he used his other half, just imagine how deadly he would be. But it also shows a lot of characterization, especially the way this episode ended, where he was going to have a conversation with Deku, and him constantly for the past couple episodes referencing his, history, or his, I guess, gripes with his father, the strained relationship that they seemingly have. That's something that's stopping him from being what he could be as well. So with Bakugo, it's his personality and him just kind of wanting to kick people's ass when they piss him off, which not really hero-like. It's badass and awesome, but not really hero-like. Then on the other hand, you got Todoroki, that he just refuses to use his utmost potential because of whatever's going on with his dad. And then Deku, he can't really go all out because, one, he could kill motherfuckers, and two, it's kind of like, I think he has maybe more balance in both of them, but still him holding back from using his full potential is what stops him, and also kind of getting excited. I think if he would have been a little more focused, he probably, because we've seen time and time again, has been proven, Deku is a strategist. Deku actually knows what the fuck is up, and he usually is focused. But because of everything going on, I think that's what stopped him as well and kind of messed him up when he grabbed the wrong bandana. I think if it was Deku in his right mind, he probably would have thought, like, maybe I should put more thought into this and maybe I should actually focus so I could grab the right bandana. So this episode definitely displayed their flaws, but it was also action-packed and really cool as well. It was like, I feel as though for the finale, better than last week's episode. It wasn't absolutely amazing, but I want to say it's leaning in between the 7.5 to an 8 even, because it was just like giving a lot more to these characters within battle, even though it's not like, you know, throwing fists or whatever, but with them having to use everything that they know, but at the same time still restricting themselves, everybody, Bakugo, because of his, I was gonna say idiocy, but just because he's such a hothead, Todoroki, like I said before, you know, him holding back his powers, and then Deku as well. It's kind of like they're doing the best that they can, but they're also slipping at the same time. And then there was also interesting things on the side, a couple of, you know, subplots where we see that All Might and Endeavor also have a really interesting and kind of mysterious relationship, because All Might's been like, it's been a long time, and Endeavor's like, yo, fuck off, pal. What are you talking about right now? So that's going to be interesting to see. We got a couple of conversations within the next episode. So next episode, I'm not expecting any action or anything like that, which you don't always need action. It's cool when we get episodes like this where things is flying and the art and animation is crazy and all over the place, like really cool shit. But next episode, I think that's where we're going to get into the meat of things and start to really understand more of these characters, their relationships, and things like that. And I guess it'll also give us more insight, even if we're not going to have necessarily a conversation with Todoroki and Endeavor, but between Endeavor and All Might talking, and potentially Todoroki and Deku talking, we might get more into his character as well. So really exciting stuff. Again, with all that being said, honestly, I felt as though it was a good episode to a very good episode. It shows that there's so much of a ways to go for all of these characters. And I mean, we even got to see some of the characters that don't necessarily matter in the grand scheme of things. I don't want to be completely harsh about it, but I mean, like the other classes, for example, the ones that would kind of be like an asshole, we got to see some of their quirks. Kind of cool seeing, you know, the copycat quirk where he was pretty much copying other people's quirks, but at the same time, he's a cunt. So yeah, I'm expecting him to get his ass busted. And we also got some pretty good progression, because we're going now into the top four people that made it, or top 4 groups that made it. So we're winding down, we're getting rid of the, you know, extra fluff of characters, and it's going to be good. I mean, even though it's nice to get the, you know, comedic relief with Mineta and Frog Girl, once you get to the meat of things, they got to start going. The weaklings got to start getting cut off, because it's time to really get to the big guys, the big dogs. So I'm excited to see where all that goes. But honestly, yeah, I mean, what we got so far, it shows that these characters, this is an academia, you know what I'm saying? This is an academy. This isn't the big time leagues. They still have a ways to go. Kind of curious what you guys think. For starters, do you think that if Bakugo didn't get pissed off because they robbed his bandana and he went straight for Deku, that he could have actually taken number 1 in this competition? He would have straight up gotten Deku? Or do you think that Todoroki was acing it too well? And likewise, what do you think regarding Todoroki holding back? Do you think if he went full-blown using both of his powers, he would just dominate everybody? And I guess you gotta ask the same question with Deku, if Deku was straight up using, because even though he was using a lot of his power from his quirk, he only used it to kind of mind fucking away Todoroki and not necessarily just to straight up body him, because he probably could have bodied him, let's be honest here. Let's not kid around. Deku got the strength to, you know, just destroy anybody. And what do you think in general of this little bout? I mean, personally, it was cool. It was nice. And as we progress, I think things are going to continue to get even more interesting regarding the battles. Also, what do you think about some of the side characters, the other class that made it to the finals? I don't expect them. I mean, even as a manga reader, again, like I've said in a couple of videos, I don't really remember a lot of this, but just seeing the way they're doing things, and like they're being strategic, but they're also cunts. You can't really expect them to be top tier, but you never know. Your thoughts on that? And what do you think about this episode as a whole? Again, 7.5 to an 8. Good stuff. I really would love to see, and it's going to be a while, these people go full on, not giving a shit. Deku not holding back, Bakugo not being distracted, Todoroki not holding back. That's going to be exciting. And I guess also, what do you think is going to be said between Todoroki and Deku? This is a good time for some character development, characterization building even further. Even though we got the meat of things with Deku, I think Todoroki, there's more to explore there. And Endeavor and All Might, I ain't gonna lie, that was probably one of my most exciting cliffhanger parts from the episode. I'm like, I want to see what these two badasses are going to talk about. Endeavor obviously got a stick up his ass, so maybe y'all might can cheer him up a little bit and pull the stick out of his ass. You never know. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'll greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and stalk my Facebook to get more when the video ends. I'm Funneverworld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.